What can we say about Detroit? Well, for better or worse, Detroit has become an international brand, usually for worse. In the minds of many, Detroit is a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and there's some truth in that. I mean, there's a reason they said RoboCop there. But that's not the whole story. To understand Detroit, you really have to understand something of its glorious past. That's right, glorious. Detroit was once the fourth largest metropolitan area in the country, and was the place you went if you wanted to make money. By 1950, there were over 1.85 million people living within the city limits. My stepfather told me that when he got back from World War II, the streets were practically paved with gold. You couldn't help but make money, he said. It was like what selling drugs must be today. Well, today there aren't 1.85 million people left in Detroit. In fact, the number is closer to 700,000. In fact, if you took all the empty space and empty buildings in Detroit and you put it together, you'd have an area that's larger than the entire city of Boston. My name is Scott Lasser, and I'm one of the people who left, part of the Detroit diaspora. Look, it's been a rough decade. Just in the last 10 years, the city has lost a quarter of its population, and 2 of the big 3 have gone bankrupt. And yet, I keep asking myself, why do I love this place so much? I mean, you'd have to be crazy to love Detroit, right? Well, you also got to be a little crazy to write a book, and I've done that too. The book is a novel called Say Nice Things About Detroit. It's a story about a white man who moves back to the city and ends up living south of 8 Mile, which is to stay within the city limits of Detroit, which is predominantly black. You can't write about Detroit without writing about race. If you've seen the Eminem movie, you know that 8 Mile Road is the dividing line, with the suburbs and the white areas to the north, and the city and the predominantly black neighborhoods to the south. In fact, one of the characters in my book has a white mother and a black father, which is to say a man with an 8 Mile running right through his family. Why do I love Detroit? I love it for the way it looks and smells. I love it for its crazy weather. I love it for all those sports teams who almost never win, but for all its fantastic music and for the can-do toughness of its people. Mostly I love it because it's home. Say Nice Things About Detroit is not an advertisement for the city. In fact, it shows the city and its characters with all their obvious flaws, and as such is a story of love and heartbreak, hope and loss, black and white, even violence and death. It follows the most basic of human longings, the desire to go home, and then it asks, what do you do if home is Detroit?